20%. They missed 13 straight shots. The Knicks were unreal. Mikal Bridges with 14 points in that fourth quarter. Had a huge steal late in this game. Kudos to the New York Knicks, who are showing all the heart and the grit and the grind that you want. This has been amazing what's going on here. And now they're up 2-0. 2-0 coming home for a game at the Garden, 3:30 Eastern on Saturday. Smalls, you're laughing, and I think you should be. It's stunning.
It's outrageous. And shout out to the Knicks. What? It is outrageous.
No, that's the perfect word for it.
They were down 20 twice on the road to a team that's not only the defending champs, but a team that swept them throughout the regular season, and it wasn't close in those contests. Nope. And if we think back to the way the Boston Celtics have dominated the past couple seasons, they're 4-0 following a playoff loss. So when they take that lead last night, you're like, okay, this is what's supposed to happen. The Celtics, we know historically, when they have a loss like they endured in game one, they're going to have a strong response. They're going to bounce back. For them to be able to build that lead and the Knicks come back again, I don't know if I'm more impressed with the Knicks or more shocked that the Boston Celtics had two erosions like that in back-to-back games.
You know what it's like? It's like the Atlanta Falcons in 2016 in Super Bowl 51 blowing a 28-3 lead and doing that twice. That's exactly what it is.
That's a good point.
In a matter of days. I mean, Ev, you talked about it. The Boston Celtics missed 13 straight shots in the fourth quarter. 7 of those were threes, and they weren't all bad looks. Some of those were wide open, and they just missed them. Now, when it comes to what their offense looked like, it's clear that there was a departure from what we saw in the first three quarters that allowed them to build up that 20-point lead, and that's why I have to attach the choke moniker to them. That was a team that gave up the ghost, and it's surprising to see a champion do that on their home court, especially in a situation where it feels like a must-win, knowing that you're going to New York for 2 games on the road. So I don't understand how Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown could let the team come to such a pass. It was an absolute embarrassment. And this arrogance that we're seeing from the Boston Celtics, shooting 3 after 3 after 3 and missing them, it's got to stop if they plan on trying to get back in this series.
Let's go what you just said about the choke thing. So I was, after game one, I was fighting on the idea that I think the Knicks deserve all the credit in the world, and this should be a Knicks storyline and not a Celtics storyline. And while I still believe that, I have to take a step back and ask the questions about the choking. I also have to ask a question about the decision-making. So play this out for a second. If I told you there was a guy that won Finals MVP and Conference Finals MVP one year, comes back the next year, and late in games doesn't get the ball, and he's not Andre Iguodala, who's a defense-first guy. He's a great defensive player, but a guy who can score 40 points on any given night. Why is Jason Tatum the go-to guy? I'm being serious now. Like, at some point, Steve Kerr looks the best out of last night. As odd as that sounds, Steve Kerr looks the best.
Because he didn't play him?
Yeah. Maybe it was like they won a gold medal, and he's like, I don't know if I want this guy late in games. Jason Tatum was terrible late in this game. The decision-making was bad. Like, this should be Jaylen Brown's team. That's not an insult towards Tatum. I know he's from St. Louis. I know you love him, Smalls. I know he's your favorite player in the NBA. I get all of that. And he's awesome. I'd take him on my team any day of the week. I'd give you up 6 first-rounders if I could. You're not allowed to. You get what I'm saying? I'd give everything I have in Miami to get Jason Tatum. Don't get it this twisted. I think there's a guy that's better.
In these specific situations? Yes.
He won Finals MVP, Conference Finals MVP, and Tatum, who has that wide-open dunk to put them up 1, which I know this is going to sound crazy. I wonder if the Knicks let that happen. The Knicks defense on that play to go up 90-89 was so bad that I wonder if the Knicks are just like, you know what? Let them score. We want to get the ball to have the final shot. We've already done our job in Boston. Let's close them out here because they already won game 1. I know that sounds ridiculous, but the defense was so bad on the Tatum dunk.
Yeah.
And that's not the Knicks defense. But at some point, and Pat Costello, to his credit, was texting all of us this about Tatum last night, like, at some point, Brown should be the guy, and Tatum is the sidekick. And then you have the greatest team ever. They won a title that way last year.
So you think that this is a coaching thing, that Mazzulla should draw it up differently or make Brown more of the focal point in these situations?
Is that a bold statement?
Well, I don't even know if it's about who the go-to guy is as much as what their approach is offensively. They look disjointed on the offensive side of the court. What they didn't make any sense. They dribbled the clock out, then they settled for bad shots. I don't know what world it makes sense to be up by 16 in the fourth quarter and have more three-point attempts than you do shots in the paint. How does that make sense? Mm-hmm. When they attack the basket, good things happen. When they settle for jump shots, it didn't. This team is atrocious in their shooting in the 2 games in this series, especially from deep. At some point, if you realize those shots aren't going in, try something else. I don't understand why the Boston Celtics allowed it to get away from them. When you look at the 8.5-minute mark, from that point until a minute left, the Knicks went on a 21-2 run. 21-2 run. Boston did not make a field goal during that span, not one. But when Jason Tatum goes to the basket in that final minute, he gets fouled, he goes to the line for a couple, then he gets the dunk off of the pick and roll. Now they went back to the well one too many times, and in that situation, I thought Mitch Robinson did a great job of forcing Tatum to where he had help on the wing with Mikal Bridges, but I don't understand why the Boston Celtics did not attack the rim more. If nothing else, get to the free throw line. What do you hear from the all-time greats that have success in the postseason, guys that get championship rings? They say, when you're not making shots, get to the free throw line, see the ball go through the hoop. That's when things start to change for you offensively. The Boston Celtics did none of that. And it's an absolute embarrassment. And so that's why at this stage, I don't even know if I can pin this on Joe Mazzulla. It's got to be the guys on the court, particularly the 2 players that have $300 million contracts. There's no world where it makes sense where Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown combine to go 1 of 9 from the field in the fourth quarter when it's winning time. That can't happen.
I'm also surprised that the approach was the same, given the fact that after game 1, you had both of those stars in Tatum and Brown in different ways talk about how if they could relitigate it, they would have done it differently, that they wouldn't have just lived by the 3, died by the 3, that they would have made those adjustments. They both said it in various ways. So I'm surprised that in this game, when the situation starts to unroll in the same way, that there wasn't a little bit of an adjustment. That's
who they are. Live by the 3, die by the 3, right? We talk about it all the time with the Celtics. It worked for them last year. It's clearly not working for them this year.
But at what point do you say it's not working? We've got to pivot.
Now would be the point. Now, Porzingis is not healthy, as we know. He comes off the bench last night, did play, but his illness is obviously a serious illness because they have not been able to figure out whatever the heck this is all year. And that's scary, but he's also playing, which is a very odd thing. Like, somebody's got an illness they can't figure out, but they continue to put him out there.
Yeah, it's strange. And I'm not saying that a healthy Porzingis doesn't make a huge difference in this series, but let's not put what we've seen from the Boston Celtics on Porzingis not being fully healthy. Matter of fact, let's not even use the injuries to Jaylen Brown
they gotta win.
And Drew Holiday as an excuse. You were up 20.
That's right.
In back-to-back games, and you blew it. Mm-hmm. As the reigning defending champs. That is an absolute embarrassment. Now, I will say this. They left the door open, and the Knicks took full advantage of it.
That they did.
Yeah.
Namely, Mikal Bridges. That dude balled. I couldn't help but watch that game last night and say, that's why the Knicks traded all those first-round draft picks to the Brooklyn Nets for him. For moments like that. And now we're talking about the Knicks coming back to Madison Square Garden with a 2-0 lead, and you're looking at this scenario where Mikal Bridges ends both games to start this series with the defensive stop, with the defensive steal. Mm-hmm. He's been known as one of the best defensive wings in all of basketball, and it showed up in a big way. But yesterday, his shot making in the fourth quarter was huge too. Made a big-time 3, made some really tough shots, turnaround Jays, those types of things. Mikal Bridges was absolutely phenomenal down the stretch. Him going along with Jalen Brunson, that made a huge difference in terms of the Knicks being able to pull out that win in Game 2 in a situation where nobody had it on the board that the Knicks would be able to get that done.
No, definitely not. And I said if I'm the Knicks, I wanted to run them off the 3-point line because they were never going to have that bad of a game again.
No, let them shoot. Let them keep shooting.
It's the same percentage.
Let them keep shooting.
Same exact percentage, 25%.
It's like Kyle Shanahan continuing to throw the ball, being up 28-3 in Super Bowl 51. That's why I compared it to that.
Thank you.
They just keep doing it. They keep doing it.
I can't
believe the ridiculousness behind it. And again, I can't put this on Joe Mazzulla. I got to put this on the guys on the court. You have to have a feel for the flow of the game, and it's clear that the 2 superstars couldn't sense the heartbeat of what was going on the court.
The amazing thing is we sat here the last couple of days, and we talked about whether or not the Celtics players, like to your point, had the ability to basically shot fake and drive. Mazzulla could be calling for 3-pointers, But you cannot convince me that Tatum and Brown are not allowed to shot fake and drive and take a guy off the dribble. In addition, most NBA coaches coach defense and allow offense. So there is a freedom on offense that is allowed that these guys are just not capitalizing, not taking advantage of. And I cannot believe the same conversation now 2 games in a row, which is Knicks comeback or Celtics collapse. Never happened in sports talk radio. It's never been